Hi, professional women. It's Mary Guirovich with maryguirovich.com. And in today's accelerated career planning tip video, I want to talk to you about negotiation. Specifically, I want to talk about the 7 obstacles that we face that stop us from negotiating. Now, why is this important? Well, let me share just a few of the stats with you before we dive into the obstacles that we face. The first reason why it's so important that we negotiate and that we learn this invaluable skill is because 70% of hiring managers are expecting us to negotiate. So if we are not negotiating, then we are leaving money on the table each and every time. And even just one negotiation, one simple negotiation can increase your lifetime earnings by $140,000. Let me explain. Well, when we negotiate, we earn on average 7.6% more. So that is more than whatever the standard is. Right now, the standard is somewhere between 3 and 6%. So that's pretty good. But what if you could earn an additional 7.6%? Well, that's even better. Just from a one-time negotiation, without getting anything more, you would have earned $140,000 more if you have a $60,000 salary than the person who didn't negotiate. Meaning you are leaving money on the table. Now, here's the other thing I want to share with you. Whenever we think about negotiations, we sometimes feel like if we get something, we're taking something away from another person. But that is not true in negotiations, especially not when we're negotiating our salary. If I get more, it does not mean that you get less or somebody else necessarily gets less. Now, I'm not going to say that's never the case. Maybe you're a huge movie star, and if the lead role gets paid X number of $1 million more, then perhaps other people's salaries go down. But in general, because you earn more, does not mean that somebody else will earn less. If anything, it actually gives others the ability to earn more because you have increased the salary for that specific position. Now, I know you've probably heard about different pay bands and different things like that, and I will be covering videos that talk about the different pay bands and how to negotiate. But when we start to think about negotiations, the first thing we need to understand is what is holding us back from negotiating. Because what we know is there is such a fear around negotiation that only 7% of women negotiate. Now, compare that to 57% of men. Well, we have some catching up to do. We just need to put ourselves out there when it comes to negotiating. And it can be super simple. And I would love to help to give you these tools. But before we talk about the tools and how to negotiate, let's cover these 7 obstacles. Some of these things I didn't know years ago. I remember graduating from college and having multiple job offers. And it never even occurred to me that I should be negotiating. I would later go on to get hired. I would even be talking to my district manager, and he said, "You were our number 1 choice. We are so glad that we had the opportunity to hire you," which led me to believe I could have asked for more and I could have gotten it. Not only that, but once I found myself in that first role, I quickly learned that others around me were earning more. I can tell you that definitely led to some regret. Some regret I don't want you to have. So whether you're going in to negotiate for your first job, or you have a job and you're trying to negotiate a higher salary within it, or maybe you're going out looking for a new job and you want to know how to negotiate that salary, then you want to understand these 7 obstacles that stop us from negotiating. That way you can put your best foot forward to increase your earnings. Okay, so let's start with number 1. The first thing that stops us from negotiating is just uncertainty. We're just not sure how to do it, when to do it, and it's just not knowing, what to do. And that can stop us because when we're not sure about something, we're not likely to do it. The other thing is, number 2, is just really not even being aware that we should be negotiating, right? And so it's just kind of this uncertainty of when the negotiation happens or if we even should be negotiating. Is this even necessary? Well, why do we get to this point? Why do we get to number 2? Well, often we have what is called misplaced trust. And that's the third thing that stops us from negotiating is misplaced trust. And this is especially true for women. We have this tendency to see people as fair. I know I did, and I still do. If I'm not careful, I will think that others have my very best interest. I will think that I did such a great job in this interview process. I will think that, I have knocked it out of the park. I have worked as hard as I possibly could in my job. Why wouldn't they give me the most available to me? I have already done all the hard work. And so we give too much trust to this other person. And when we trust that the other person is giving us the best offer because we like them, because we think they like us, because we built this rapport, maybe we've had great interviews with them. Well, when we give that misplaced trust away, this prevents us from negotiating because we just think like, oh, they love us. Of course they gave us the best offer they could. Number 4, happiness. When you get to that job offer, that promotion, or that raise, you are so happy, especially if it's been a long process. Maybe you've been trying to earn the promotion or get that raise for a period of time, or maybe you've been applying for jobs and now you finally got an offer. We are so ecstatic that oftentimes we don't even think about negotiations because it happens in the split second, and with the stress and the fear that we feel, we just let that happiness steamroll over us, and then we miss our opportunity. But what happens sometimes is we get into the role and we wish that we would have negotiated, but we just accepted the offer. And it's a lot harder to negotiate after the fact. Number 5. The 5th thing that we do is we have an obstacle of fear, right? We are afraid that our offers are going to be rescinded if we negotiate. And so therefore, we choose not to. But the truth is that people's offers most often are not rescinded because they negotiate. And it's very, very, very few and far and in between. And if you negotiate in the right way, then your offer won't be rescinded. It would take something monumental for them to rescind an offer. Because here's what you have to realize. Other people are also excited about you moving into this position, whether it's a role within the organization or whether it's a new job. People are excited about this. And so as long as you negotiate properly, which I'll be teaching you in future videos, then you will not have your offer rescinded. None of my clients have ever had an offer rescinded. All right, number 6, bullying. Now, this one isn't common, but I do want to mention it. We sometimes fear or stop negotiating because we just have somebody that is like, so matter of fact, like you have to take this offer. It's kind of like one of those exploding offers. If you do not tell us if you're going to take this job offer right away, then we're going to take it off the table. And when you get these like hard time frames and it's like, take it or leave it, we have other candidates, what do you want? This kind of places this fear in our head that, man, I better take this. Like there's no wiggle room here. And that is one of the obstacles that stops us. Now, the 7th and final obstacle that we face is socialization. We have been socialized not to negotiate, especially as women. My son has this fraying. He said a few weeks ago at his birthday, he said, you get what you get and you don't make a fit. Whenever we were putting together his party favors and they had these individual little Hot Wheels cars with them. And he just said, Mom, we'll just tell him you get what you get and you don't make a fit. And I thought, oh, wow, that's so brilliant. I love that statement. But as I thought about it and I kind of marinated on it, we hear statements like that and we take those things to heart. And as a child, perhaps you were given something and your mom said, you need to be more grateful. You need to be grateful for what you have. And oftentimes, we think that if we ask for more, it shows that we're actually not grateful or appreciative of what we've been given because we've been socialized to kind of just accept whatever is offered to us. But that couldn't be further from the truth. You can be very gracious while still negotiating for what you want. Take my son's party favors, for example. If a little child would have came up and I would have said, here you go, here's your favor, and they would have noticed like, wow, I really want that other car, they could have simply said, wow, thank you, Mrs. Guirovich. This is so great. Thanks, I really appreciate this gift. You know, I had my eye on that one. Would it be okay if I swapped? What would I say? Of course you can swap. Of course you can. So while it is good to not have mass chaos and have everybody asking everything, and while it is good to show gratitude, we can certainly push back and we can actually get the things that we want in life. But it is up to us to communicate those things. And so to help you overcome these 7 obstacles to negotiating, I'm going to put together a little bit of a series on negotiating so you can understand fully how you can negotiate that next job offer. If this was helpful, please leave a comment below, give it a big thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can see more great tip videos like this one. Until we meet again, remember, you're only one plan away from your next promotion.